Is the conflict in eastern Ukraine a distant echo, or is it more akin to a silent storm brewing in Europe's backyard? This is where our story begins, in the heart of Eastern Europe, where a conflict has been smoldering for years now, largely unseen and often misunderstood. In the early spring of 2014, a storm began to brew. The seeds of conflict were sown in Ukraine's easternmost regions, a land rich in cultural history and, yes, geopolitical significance. The region, known as Donbass, became a hotbed of tension as political ideologies clashed and territorial disputes ignited. You see, the fabric of eastern Ukraine is intricately woven with threads of diverse ethnicities, languages, and loyalties. It's a rich tapestry, but also a volatile one, as these threads began to pull apart, causing a rift that would soon escalate into a full-blown conflict. The early years saw a rapid spiral into violence as tensions between pro-Russian separatists and Ukrainian loyalists boiled over. But why should the world care about a regional conflict in a distant corner of Europe? Well, the answer lies in the geopolitical chessboard that is Eastern Europe. The region is a strategic crossroads, a bridge between East and West, where political, economic, and security interests of global powers intersect. The stability of eastern Ukraine is therefore not just a matter of regional concern, but a global one. In this geopolitical game, the stakes are high and the players are many. But amidst the chaos and confusion, amidst the smoke and the rubble, there is one entity that has consistently stepped forward, one entity that has refused to turn a blind eye to the silent storm brewing in its backyard. That entity is the European Union. As the storm rages on, one entity stands at the forefront of peacemaking efforts: the European Union. In the face of this escalating crisis, the European Union decides not to stand by idly. But what actions has it taken, you may ask? Well, the EU's involvement in the eastern Ukraine conflict began with an urgent call for de-escalation and dialogue. This call was not just a mere statement. It was a commitment to peace and stability, a commitment that the EU has stood by ever since. As a first step, the European Union initiated diplomatic talks, bringing together Ukraine, Russia, and other key international players. These talks aimed to negotiate a peaceful resolution to the conflict, a testament to the EU's belief in the power of dialogue. Despite the complexities of the situation, the EU didn't waver in its commitment to peace. But diplomacy wasn't the only tool in the EU's arsenal. When dialogue seemed to falter, the EU responded by implementing sanctions against Russia. These sanctions were not made lightly. They were designed to send a clear message. The EU would not tolerate actions that threatened peace and stability in the region. These sanctions targeted specific sectors of the Russian economy, including finance, energy, and defense. By applying economic pressure, the EU hoped to persuade Russia to change course and seek a peaceful resolution to the conflict. This was a bold move, demonstrating the EU's resolve to stand up for its principles. But the EU's efforts didn't stop there. Recognizing the humanitarian impact of the conflict, the EU launched aid initiatives to support the affected populations. These initiatives provided essential services like healthcare, education, and emergency relief to those most in need. This was the EU's commitment to well-being and humanitarian values in action. In the face of a complex and escalating crisis, the European Union has shown that it is not a passive observer. From diplomatic talks to sanctions, from standing up for its principles to providing humanitarian aid, the EU has taken decisive actions to promote peace and stability. The European Union's actions are clear. They are actively engaged in the pursuit of peace. A conflict is not just about politics and territory. It's about people. What has been the human cost of this conflict? When we examine the conflict in eastern Ukraine, we see a canvas of human lives intricately woven with threads of resilience, despair, hope, and struggle. The humanitarian impact has been profound. Thousands of lives have been disrupted, livelihoods destroyed, and access to essential services like healthcare, education, and clean water has been severely compromised. Families have been torn apart, with many individuals displaced, forced to leave their homes and everything they know behind. Children have been robbed of their childhoods, their classrooms replaced by the harsh realities of conflict. Everyday life for these people is a battle for survival, not knowing when the next meal will come or where they will sleep. But amid this bleak landscape of human suffering, there has been a beacon of hope. The European Union, understanding the gravity of the situation, has been actively involved in providing humanitarian aid and support to these affected populations. They have been reaching out with food, medical aid, shelter, and other essential resources. Through various aid initiatives, the EU has provided millions of euros in aid, directly impacting and improving the lives of those most in need. They've helped rebuild schools, hospitals, and homes, and have worked tirelessly to ensure access to basic services. Furthermore, they've also provided psychological support to those traumatized by the conflict, helping them to heal and rebuild their lives. The EU's efforts are not just about providing material support, but also about restoring dignity, hope, and a sense of normalcy to the people affected by the conflict. In this way, the EU's humanitarian efforts go beyond diplomacy and politics. They touch upon the very essence of what it means to be human, to care for each other in times of need, to extend a hand when others are in despair, to show compassion and empathy in the face of adversity. In the face of human suffering, the EU extends a helping hand. The road to peace is never easy. How is the European Union paving the way towards resolution? The European Union has been at the forefront of diplomatic negotiations to resolve the conflict in eastern Ukraine. Their approach has been one of both assertiveness and diplomacy, a balancing act aimed at fostering peace and stability in a region marred by conflict. The EU's approach to resolving the conflict is multifaceted. On one hand, it has been relentless in its support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Its unwavering stance has been a beacon of hope for those yearning for peace and stability. On the other hand, the EU has also been a key player in diplomatic negotiations. These negotiations are delicate, requiring a careful balancing of interests, but the EU has shown an unwavering commitment to finding a peaceful resolution. From high-level meetings to on-the-ground negotiations, the EU's involvement has been pivotal. It's important to remember that the EU's efforts aren't just about the here and now, they're also about the future. The European Union has a vision for a stable, prosperous Ukraine integrated into the wider European community. It's a long-term goal that they're actively working towards. In addition to this, the EU continues to provide substantial humanitarian aid to the affected populations. It's a sign of their commitment to the well-being of the people in the region, showing that they're not just concerned with political outcomes, but also with the human impact of the conflict. The European Union's role in this conflict is a testament to its commitment to peace, stability, and the rule of law. It's a challenging task, but one that they've taken on with determination and resolve. So as we look towards the future, it's clear that the European Union is playing a vital role in paving the path to peace in eastern Ukraine. It's a path fraught with challenges, but with each step, the EU is showing that it's not just about resolving the conflict, but also about building a better future for the region. With each step, the European Union is committed to leading the journey towards peace. So, where do we stand today? Is peace within reach, or is the conflict destined to drag on? As we delve into the present state of the unresolved conflict in eastern Ukraine, we find ourselves amidst a sea of complexities and uncertainties. The European Union, steadfast in its commitment, continues to be a beacon of hope, navigating the choppy waters of this prolonged strife. Despite the EU's relentless diplomatic efforts, the path to peace is far from smooth. Challenges abound, with political disputes, territorial claims, and diverging interests creating a formidable barrier. The situation on the ground remains volatile, with ceasefires often broken and tensions persistently high. But the EU's role in this intricate puzzle is not merely confined to diplomacy. It extends to the humanitarian sphere as well, as the bloc has been instrumental in providing aid to the affected populations. From food to medical supplies, from shelter to psychological support, the EU's assistance has been a lifeline for many in the region. Yet the scale of the crisis demands more. As the conflict grinds on, the needs of the people continue to grow. The EU recognizes this, and has plans to ramp up its aid initiatives, focusing on long-term development alongside immediate relief. Looking ahead, the EU's strategy remains anchored in promoting peace, stability, and well-being. It's a vision that hinges on dialogue, negotiation, and the unyielding pursuit of a political solution. The EU is committed to using all available channels to alleviate the conflict's humanitarian impact and resolve the dispute peacefully. While the road ahead is fraught with challenges, the EU's commitment to the cause is unwavering. The journey to peace may be long and arduous, but with the EU's steadfast involvement, the possibility of a resolution becomes more tangible. The storm may still be raging, but as long as the European Union is involved, there's hope for a brighter dawn.